If you find that you're always looking for happiness on the outside instead of on the inside, then this tapping session is for you. So, welcome to Don't Make Me Tap Again. I am your host, Angie Grant, and this is an EFT or emotional freedom technique tapping podcast where I show you a very basic way to use EFT tapping to perhaps release some stress that your body's holding on to. But I like to do it through the lens of human design. So you don't need to know anything about human design. It's something that I use in my coaching practice with my clients. It's also something that I use to better understand myself and to continuously help myself expand and move forward and get unstuck, quite frankly. And so I find it just a fascinating way to use EFT tapping to release some stress related to the energy that we're all going through. So, but every 6 days, collectively, we all move into a new energy. We actually are moving in through several different energies all the time. I'm not an astrologist by any means. I really do look, at least in this podcast, pretty specifically at the energy that the sun is moving into. So at the time of this recording, I'm actually a couple days late. I don't know why. I don't know, my brain is like not ready to record when we move into the new energy, but that's okay. Because whether you know anything about human design, whether you don't, whether you understand what these gates or energies mean, that doesn't matter. Really, what I want you to get from this podcast is that you might be experiencing some of the things that I describe about the energy that we're in, and it might be causing you stress in your body that maybe you didn't know how to explain before you understood just this little smidge about the energy. Of course, I'm not an expert in the energy by any means. I'm still learning, but I do want to share this with you. So, we are currently, or the sun is currently in the energy of gate 56. Through traditional human design, I have to check my notes now. So through traditional human design, it's called the gate of the wanderer. Through the gene keys, it's called the gate of divine indulgence with a shadow of distraction and the highest energy of intoxication. So we're going to chat about that a little bit. And then through quantum human design, the same exact energy is called the gate of expansion. So I wanted to share that with you because, well, I find it so fascinating how each expert in the human design gene keys realm uses different vocabulary to describe something that's been in the Chinese I Ching for thousands of years. And it's just each unique person's way of looking at the energy. Same for me, right? When I listen to the Gene Keys audio. So I had out that big, huge book here, but I listen to the audio often several times just to let his words, Richard Rudd's words, just sink in with me about what that energy might mean. I also follow Dr. Karen Parker. So she's the founder of Quantum Human Design. And I have a few other resources that I dig into. And as I'm listening to each one, I keep coming back to how does this apply to parenting? I am a parent coach. And so here's what I want to share with you today is that this energy that we're all in right now, it's this idea of being so easily distracted by all of the things that are outside of us, right? Our cell phones, what's on social media, what's on TV, what our neighbors are doing, what school is asking us to do for our kids, what our kids' friends' parents are doing. We're so distracted by all the things that are happening outside of us, and we lose sight of what's happening inside of us. We lose sight of perhaps where our own happiness is. And when I was listening to the audio of the Gene Keys, actually, what kept coming up for me was this concept that I share often in my other podcast. This idea that I'll be happy when my kids do X, Y, and Z, right? Like I'll stop being frustrated or angry when my kids start behaving, or I'll stop yelling at my kids when they start listening, or I'll stop losing my cool when they start doing what they're supposed to do. And all of those things that many parents say or think or believe are Us essentially saying that my happiness isn't in me. My happiness is in you and how well you behave or how well you fit into my expectations about how my kids are supposed to be. And here's the thing, us being frustrated with our kids or not being frustrated with them has nothing to do with them, has nothing to do with how our kids are behaving. And I think when I think about what this energy that we're in right now, this energy, like I said, I have to check, I don't want to mess up the words, but through quantum human design, it's called the gate of expansion. And that's what I think. I think when we can expand our ability to take our own happiness, take responsibility for our own happiness, then we are able to expand. When we're able to expand what we see as kind of in our own realm and to stop putting blame on others, that's where we really create our own happiness. The other interesting thing about this energy, so gate 56 is oftentimes referred to as a storytelling gate. And so I think a huge, huge part of that, right? That idea of like, I'll be happy when my kids behave, will start telling a different story because the story that we tell ourselves, the story that we're living in, our body believes it to be true. I think about this when my son was younger and behaviors were so hard, and I would tell our story to anybody who would listen. And it's not that at least I don't think so. It's not that I was looking for attention or looking for approval. I was just trying to understand what I was experiencing. But the more that I told my story about his behaviors, the more that my nervous system believed them to be true. And so even if there were little blips of evidence that my story was false, I still, my nervous system was holding on to the story that what I was saying was true because I had said it so many stinking times. And the same is true for you. If you think that your kids misbehave and you tell everybody that and you tell yourself that, my kids just won't listen to me, right? If those are the words you're saying or the things you're thinking or the stories that you're telling, change your story. What if instead your story was, my kids are stressed, maybe because I'm stressed. And if I work on me first, then I can help them to be less stressed so that they're in a better space to listen. Or if your story currently is that you don't have any support from your partner or your spouse or your kid's other parent, right? If your story is they just won't help me out with anything, I have to do this all by myself. Maybe that's true, maybe. But what if you shift that story to say, I get to do this for my kids. I get to show up for them different than my parents did. I get to show up for them different than maybe their other parent is. I get to choose how I show up for them. We don't ever get to control anybody else. So, all right. So this was a ton of talking, but I wanted to describe this energy that we're in because it's something that most parents deal with. This idea of this being distracted by our own stories, being distracted by what we believe to be true about our kids, but we always have the power to change our story. So we're going to do some EFT tapping around this concept. If you choose to follow me, all you really have to do is copy my tapping and my words if they feel true to you. I will let you know that when we start a tapping sequence, I always start with the negative because that may be what your nervous system is holding on to and trying to throw an affirmation in there when your nervous system is like, yeah, but my kids are misbehaving, right? If your nervous system believes something else and you're trying to convince it with affirmations, it doesn't always work. EFT tapping helps to bridge that gap between what you want to believe and what your nervous system currently believes. So, are you ready? And remember, this is just a stress reduction tool in your tool belt. It is not a replacement for any kind of medical or mental health care. And if you need more personalized support, I'd love to help you with that. I put a booking link below. So, all right, so here we go. So even though I'm trying so hard to get my kids to stop misbehaving, it's frustrating me a ton. I deeply and completely accept how I feel about that. Even though I feel overwhelmed with trying to help my kids get their behaviors in check, I know that right now I can let myself relax a little and breathe deeply. Even though I just wish my kids would behave so that I can feel happy. And that is what I believe right now. I accept that that's where I'm at today. All right, stop tapping. Take a nice deep breath. And I always forget to do this before we start. But give yourself a score real quick. We're going to do a little bit more tapping, but give yourself a score on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being no stress at all when it comes to thinking about your kids' behaviors as they relate to your happiness, and a 10 being like, oh, heck no, my kids need to behave before I can be happy. Give yourself a score. All right. Feeling frustrated. I need my kids to behave. Their behaviors feel out of control. And by the way, it doesn't matter if you use left or right. Do what feels best to you. Some people do both. Feeling overwhelmed with behaviors. Feeling frustrated. Feeling overwhelmed. My kids just won't listen to me. Trying to relax, and it's really, really hard. But I know right now I can breathe. Let my body relax just a little bit. I can't control them, but I can control the story that I tell about them and about me. I can let myself relax just a little bit. And perhaps if I relax, they might too. Taking care of me first and telling a more empowered story about my role. I've got this. So, after going through those 2 tapping rounds, check in with yourself again. On that scale of 0 being no stress at all to 10 being totally stressed out, overwhelmed, the kids have just got to change their behavior. Where are you at? Has anything shifted? Did you notice any physical sensations in your body? Sometimes people will feel maybe warmth or tightness or sharp pain or just something unusual that wasn't there before. Just notice it. I'm not trying to change it, but just noticing what's going on in your body. Sometimes it can be a powerful clue to maybe where you're stuck too. So, like I said before, if you're looking for personalized support, that is what I love doing. I love helping people to get unstuck. I love helping people find what's actually holding them back. And EFT is just such a weirdly powerful way to do that. So, until next time, just keep on tapping. Put this one on repeat if you found any peace in this tapping sequence, and I'll see you soon.